Welcome, everyone. We'll just give a couple seconds for everyone to get into the room. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. We are here for the Immigration Q&A, Ontario Provincial Nominee Program, hosted by Devant and sponsored by CIBC. This is a great opportunity for you to get updates as well as to ask our expert speaker your questions. I'm so excited for this evening and to see you again. Let's get started. So my name is Sisha Maharaj. I'm a senior consultant, business development and external relations with Devant. Here is our amazing team. I also have other consulting roles in addition to this, specifically supporting newcomers to Canada, find their economic position and be successful in Canada. And I'm so excited to host this session along with our expert speaker tonight, who has been a long time participant. Elizabeth, it's so great to have you here. And I'll introduce you in a few minutes. Maybe the next slide, please. So just as a way of logistics, everyone is muted right now, so there's no need to use your video. I see hearts for you, Elizabeth, coming through the screen. This is recorded, so for those of you who are listening, you will get a copy of the recording. I'm going to encourage you to post questions using the Q&A feature at any time. As you can see, it's at the bottom there. Please feel free to use the chat to introduce yourself, let us know where you're from. This is a safe place for you to connect with each other as well. So please use this opportunity to connect with each other in the chat. But everyone, I will be using the Q&A for the questions for Elizabeth. Future sessions are at www.devant.ca/all events. Next slide, please. So for those of you who are new to Devant or maybe the first time joining one of our webinars, Devant helps over 150,000 international students and newcomers and recent grads, as well as community members, get hired in Canada. Devant offers free, actionable career advice from career coaches and industry experts at our live events. And I'm usually the host for our Ask a Recruiter events and our immigration events and some of our sponsored events and hiring events as well. We also have coaches, career coaches who you might meet through different events on Wednesday evenings from 7 to 8. Devant offers the latest AI-driven tools to polish your resume, your interview skills, and help you with labor market information. So we will be offering different events. We hope to see you regularly to help you connect and improve your opportunities for career development, help you to clarify and get some answers to your immigration questions, and also to support you for your academic life. Next slide. So please note that this information session does not constitute legal advice. We will inquire you to refer to Immigration, Refugees, and Citizenship Canada for the most up-to-date information and consult a registered immigration professional for personalized advice. Next slide, please. So I am so excited to formally welcome you, Elizabeth, to the floor. Elizabeth is our certified specialist. She is a leading immigration lawyer in Canada. She is an active advocate of immigrant and refugee rights in Canada and frequently presents and advises on immigration issues to organizations, universities, members of parliament, unions, and the media. She has also testified several times before the Parliamentary Standing Committee on Citizenship and Immigration on various immigration policies. Elizabeth holds a Juris Doctor law degree from the University of Toronto and a Bachelor of Arts degree with honors in psychology from Memorial University of Newfoundland. So anyone out east, please say hello. And anyone in GTA, you may have seen Elizabeth's name around or previous events. We're so excited to have you here. You know, in addition to this, she has a Master of Law degree from Osgoode Hall Law School at York University, where she focused on the intersection between immigration and labor and employment law for foreign workers. She is a certified by the Law Society of Ontario as a specialist in citizenship and immigration law. It's a prestigious list which only 65 lawyers in Canada belong. So as you can see, you have an expert here available to answer your questions. Elizabeth, again, on behalf of Devant and all of our community, thank you so much for spending this hour with us to share your knowledge and expertise. I'll now pass the floor to you to do the update on this special topic for today. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Sisha. It's always fantastic to be here with you guys today. So today, what we're going to talk about is some upcoming programs that the Ontario Immigrant Nominee Program, most people know it as the OINP, is coming out with. Now, the exact details are not set out yet. There has been an announcement made about certain changes to the programs, and we're going to talk about what those are likely going to be. The current system is in place right now. There may be some draws for some of the programs, like employer-specific programs, before the new changes come out. But some of the changes, such as the employer-based stream changes, are likely going to come out in the next shortly. Not sure when, but shortly. Okay. So in case you guys don't know, what is the OINP? The OINP is Ontario's Provincial Nominee Program. So every province has its own provincial nominee program where the province itself gets to select people that they want to receive permanent residence. Now, in last year, so every year, the federal government gives each province a certain number of spots, number of people that they can invite and nominate for the provincial nomination. Now, last year, most of the provinces were caught by surprise because the government cut their numbers by 50% last year. This year, however, the numbers are back up to what was in 2024. And the Ontario government is going to be making some changes as well, where they're going to, first of all, they're going to be cutting some programs, cancellation of some programs. Okay. So with the cancellation of these programs, that means that there will likely be more invitations because of the rise in the number for the province, and also because of the fact that now there's more availability, more spots for the programs that we have. Okay, so what programs are going to be canceled? Well, first of all, those streams that are for students without job offers in Ontario. So before, if you did a master's program or a PhD program in Ontario, even if you didn't have a job offer, there were these programs that you could put your name in and be invited. Now, last year, no one was really invited under these programs. There weren't any draws, and likely there won't be any draws this year because these are some of the streams that have been identified that they will likely be eliminated this year. Another one that is being eliminated are the express entry streams, where you didn't need to have any job offers in Ontario. They were based on your background, etc., your occupation, etc., and you were in the express entry streams. So all of these are likely going to also be eliminated this year as well. Okay. And a lot of these draws, especially express entry, back in 2024, they probably composed of, I would say, close to maybe 40-50% of the draws. So the fact that they're going to be eliminated means that there's going to be a lot more spots, a lot more invitations to apply, likely for the employer-based streams. Okay, the employer-based streams are those streams that are for people who have job offers from qualified employers in Ontario. Now, currently, there are three streams. There's the international student stream. Those are for students who've graduated from a program in Canada, um, and you've graduated within 2 years of graduation and you have a job offer in Ontario. And then there are the foreign worker streams, those people who have job offers in Ontario who have not graduated, but you have 2 years of work experience in the last 5 years. And then there are the in-demand streams, and there's a list of low-skilled workers who of occupations. And if you have 9 months of work experience with the employer, then you could apply for the in-demand stream. So what's going to happen is they are consolidating, first of all, the international student stream and the foreign worker stream into one stream, which is the high skilled stream. When they do this, a few things will happen. Number one, everybody now is going to be in one pool. Before, there were two pools. There were draws for international student stream, and there's a draw for foreign worker stream. Now, under this new program, international students and the other workers are going to be in one stream. Okay. Now, what's going to be important is that the work experience now, before you didn't need to have any work experience. Now, with the employer, now as an international student stream, now you can only apply after you have 6 months of work experience with the employer that is offering you the position in Ontario. Okay. Or if you have the 2 years of work experience in the last 5 years in the same knock. The other thing is the salary. Now, the salary, you're going to need to meet median wage, or if you're still within 2 years of graduation, which is kind of like the international student stream, then you can meet entry-level wage. But as soon as the 2 years hits from the date of graduation on your diploma or certificate, then that's when the median wage will count. Um, and if your education is either you have your education, either post-secondary education, or if you don't, if you've worked with the employer for 6 months in Ontario, actually that would not necessarily be a requirement. Now, here's the thing. Education may very well be one of the points on the scores. Okay. Another thing would be it could be salary, could be one of the points on the scores, work experience, etc. So it does, just because you can get into the pool doesn't necessarily mean that they're not going to matter with regard to points. Now, the second stream is a low-skilled stream. So before, in the in-demand stream, there were low-skilled jobs, but there was a list. You knew if you were on the list, you would be selected. If you're not on the list, you wouldn't be selected. Now they're opening up to all low-skilled streams. So what does that mean? Any job I can go in? Yeah, any job you can enter into the pool, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you are going to be selected. Okay? There are likely going to be the draws are likely going to be still on a lot of the occupations in demand, like low skill streams are going to be occupations that the government sees as being in demand. They just don't necessarily want to create a set list of occupations because they don't necessarily want to set themselves up just to have that set of occupations. They want to have the freedom to change, the in-demand occupations. What are these occupations going to be? We don't really know. We might venture to guess about some of the previous draws, what some of the occupations are, but it doesn't necessarily mean that what was in the previous draw, and if your occupation wasn't in the previous draw, that you wouldn't be selected for future draws. Okay. But certainly a lot of the occupation-based rate, we're going to expect a lot of the occupation draws to happen not only for the low skill, but also for the high skill streams, and also a lot of the regional draws as well. So if you're outside of the GTA, if you are, especially if you're in the northern cities or the ready regions as well, those might be some priority regions, and then different kinds of occupations like healthcare or the trades, etc. Those have traditionally been invited, but we don't know. There might be others as well. IT, who knows what it would be. Okay. The other thing that we don't know yet is whether the points criteria will change, because the points criteria for international student stream right now is very different from the points criteria for the foreign worker stream and very different from the in-demand stream. So the government, I think, is going to make some decisions on what the new points criteria will be. Okay, so now, in addition so we had the cancellation of programs, we had a modification of the employment based programs. Now the government is going to have some new programs that are coming into place, probably in the latter part of this year. And so one of the first ones they're going to do is called the priority healthcare stream. So this is a stream where health professionals without job offers, but who have professional certifications in Ontario. So if you are, for example, a physician who is able to be licensed to practice in Ontario, you could be there. Actually, right now, physicians who are licensed to practice and who are able to receive OHIP, a lot of them can apply right now under the foreign worker stream as self-employed physicians. You don't actually need a job offer right now. And so this will take over that once it becomes into place as well. Okay. So what are the list of health professions? We don't know exactly, but I would anticipate for sure, like physicians, for example, nurses, personal support workers, probably not. But you're going to look at positions such as maybe psychologists, who knows? Okay, but there's going to be a list coming out, and these are people, if you're licensed or for those who graduated in Ontario, there might be something where um you're getting to your license and you're entering into that, they might accept that as well. Okay. The second one is very exciting. It's the entrepreneur stream. So right now, we really don't have any good entrepreneur permanent residence programs right now. Ontario is going to come out with one where if you have run your business for a certain amount of time and you have hired workers and you've run the business in Ontario for a certain amount of time, that you could apply for permanent residence. And this is exciting for those people who have work permits. You can do this on a postgrad work permit. You may also be able to extend your work permit if you already have a business in different kinds of programs like the entrepreneur work permit stream, etc. Okay, and so if you already purchased and you're operating in business in Ontario, then this is an opportunity as well. Again, a lot of these details, we don't know the specifics yet. We only know what was announced. And so for, you know, uh, and the government, I'm sure themselves haven't really determine the final details for these programs yet. But this is something that is on the horizon that they have announced that they are going to um, uh, look at establishing, hopefully sometime later this year. There's the final one called the Exceptional Talent Stream, and this is for people who are exceptional. You know, like they're exceptional in what they do, artists. Maybe we'll have athletes as well. Maybe you might have people in the sciences. Who knows? Okay, the government is still looking at defining what is exceptional talent. But this is a interesting one that they have announced that they're going to come out soon. All right. So, if you have any questions about your situation, we do offer a consultation that's discounted for Devant members. So let us know that you come to our webinar or you're coming from Devant. And our discounted consultation with one of our lawyers, where you'll get your personal evaluation and your personal plan. It's only $100 plus tax. We do it through video conferencing, so you can be anywhere in the world. Okay? All right, Sisha, let's get going on some questions. And if you have any
Yes.
questions, feel free to put them in the Q&A at the bottom of your screen.
Yes, thank you so much, Elizabeth. Every time you present, I always learn new information and all of the changes for immigration. It's very interesting to see the new direction that CIC is going, and some of these are interesting as the exceptional talent stream that you mentioned. So thank you for sharing all of this great information. Please put your questions in the chat. If there is a question that you agree with or you would like to prioritize, you can like the question and I will ask those first. In terms of the questions, I'm just going to ask actually one of the last ones first. Someone says, I was in the pool last year, but before the change. What should I do about my existing situation? Should I withdraw the current one or should I wait? I'm working in the dental field, dental assistant for 2 years.
Yeah, I mean, the new system is not out yet. So if you're still in the pool, keep yourself in the pool. There may be a draw before the new system comes out. When the new systems comes out, then you'll be notified, and then you can enter yourself into the new system, um, if you qualify.
Okay, thank you so much. And just to mention, if your question is like very, very personal, I am going to encourage you to follow up with Elizabeth directly because we want to make sure that everyone can benefit as well from the questions. Um, okay, so I'm going to go to the very top. It says previously individuals can initiate the immigration process via OINP. Now the government has changed that and employers have a portal to initiate this program. In reality, most employers do not want to get involved in the immigration. They prefer to only employ folks that have an approved status, like a work permit or PR. How can we convince an employer to take part or take this initiative of applying for them? I guess, what are some suggestions or tips you have, considering like employers may say, I don't want to sponsor anyone. How can we mitigate sort of the fear and get support from employers? I think is the question.
Yeah, so the OINP, they created the employer portal because a lot of people started just putting their names in an employer-based programs, the employer-based streams, which require the employers to sign off and they have to participate in the program, but they wouldn't tell their employers until they're invited to apply, and then the employers often are caught really by surprise. You have to submit your application within 14 days, and there's a lot of issues in those situations. One of the issues as well with employers not wanting to participate in the program is previously, when it was all going through the applicant's application, the employer um, would have to provide their information about their business that a lot of them didn't want all of their employees to know about through this program. So the employer portal was created so that the employer would be notified and would have to participate from the very beginning, okay, so that they're not caught by surprise if someone gets an invitation to apply. And secondly, the employer, through the employer portal, would now be able to submit the information without revealing whatever information and documents that they have with the applicant, which I think is actually a very positive step. Um, it certainly is an issue with a lot of employers where they don't really understand what the program is about. They sometimes think it's kind of like sponsorship. There's actually no such thing as employer sponsorship in Canada. Um, that's a US term, and it's a lot of people use it in Canada um, because they think it means something. Um, when an employer participates in the OINP program, they support the application by declaring a few things. They would declare what their income is, how many people that they have hired, Canadians that they have hired, and that how long they've been in business. Those three criteria lets the government know whether or not they qualify for this program. They will also declare a few other things about the job offer. You know, what kind of position is it? How much are they paying you? Is it a permanent position? Okay. And so that's something that the Ontario government makes the employer do in order to see that this is a position that the Ontario government wants to nominate. The Ontario government's position is that these programs are not just to help people stay in Ontario. Their priority is to help Ontario employers keep people. So that mentality for the government is something which is why they want the employers to participate in the program. Now, the problem as well is that Ontario's Provincial Nominee Program is probably one of the highest bars in all of Canada for an employer to be able to pass in order to qualify for the program. Most other provinces don't have that high a bar for income and number of employees that they employ, etc. And so sometimes there are issues with employers qualifying. There are also a lot of issues these days with fraud where people are unscrupulous consultants, or there's some sort of arrangements where the person doesn't actually have a job offer, they're not really working for the employer. And so the Ontario government has been trying to crack down on these kind of situations, and they are now doing a lot more inspections and follow-ups with the employer. So the employer may need to provide more documents than what was in the beginning. The employer needs to understand what they're getting themselves into when they are participating in the program. And it's important. So a lot of times when my clients come to me and they say, well, I want to participate in the OINP, they could qualify, but without the employer to help them, they won't. So oftentimes I have a chat first with the employer, explain what the program means. And I can represent the employer and the applicant because I can act as a firewall. I don't need to tell the applicant, and I won't tell the applicant about the personal information of the employer. You guys don't care about whatever the information of the employer is anyway, because you just want to get your nomination. Okay. So sometimes having a lawyer there who can explain what the program means, what the obligations of the employer are, that there are some obligations, but it might be things that they can live with. Okay. and also to see whether or not you yourself would qualify, but also be able to, when the time comes, make sure that all of the details for both sides are accurate and correct.
Thank you so much for that thorough explanation, Elizabeth. That's very, very helpful. So, I guess to sum it up, if there's an employer that wants to hire someone, they can participate and support that. It looks like it's much easier now for employers to support their hires.
It's a easier process, I think, for the employers to separate themselves from having to provide documentation information to the employee who's applying. Um, but the application process itself, I think, is going to be more and more challenging because the Ontario government is going to be scrutinizing the employers and the applications much more closely than probably before. They're going to probably be doing a lot more audits. They're talking about even going to the job site sometimes. So yeah, there's unfortunately has been a lot of issues with fraud in this program.
Okay, thank you. So I have a question from someone which is interesting. This individual actually took an out of province co-op in New Brunswick, but is intending to come back. They're doing a post diploma program in hospitality, it sounds like in Ontario. So the fact that they did an out of province co-op, but they're coming back, will they still be able to apply for the OINP?
Well, so right now the OIMP, they really need you to have mostly a job offer. The employer-based streams are require you to have a job offer in Ontario. And as long as you qualify for that, then yes. Now the education program, if you did a co-op out of the province, but you actually graduated from the Ontario school, then you should be able to qualify as long as your program itself qualifies under for the program.
Mm-hmm. And they meet the other criteria of the work experience you mentioned. Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
that's
I
right.
see
Yeah.
hearts for that answer. So that was well received. Thank you. Someone says, I was nominated last year under an employer-specific nomination, T-13, and I have already submitted my PR application. I currently hold a valid open work permit and have not yet applied for a closed work permit. And then there's sort of, could you please confirm a few things? So you can follow along here in the chat. But if I continue to working two jobs while my open work permit is still valid, despite the employer-specific nomination, so can they continue to work two jobs while their open permit is still valid?
Yes, if you have an open work permit, as long as you continue to work in the position that you are nominated for and all of the other details are there, you're fine.
Okay. And then if I apply for a closed work permit, can I continue working the two jobs while waiting for the decision as long as my open work permit remains?
Yes, that's right. So if you've applied for an employer-specific work permit, but you're on implied status and your previous work permit was open, you can continue to work because it's the conditions of the first work permit that applies on implied status.
Okay, thank you so much. So I guess someone's saying, how do I know if my if I can participate in OINP while working under an employer? How do I verify like that my employment will count?
Come over for a consultation and then we'll be able to look at your specific circumstances.
Okay, okay, great. Oh wow, the questions are burning up now. Okay. Give me 1 second. I'm just gonna clear some of these questions. Okay. Um, I guess someone's just asking about recreational therapists. Would they qualify for OINP?
Um, Almost all, if you're looking at at new streams, almost like every single occupation out there, high skilled, low skilled, you can qualify if you meet all the other criteria. Whether or not you'll be selected is another matter.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Thanks, Elizabeth. Just for clarification, I mean, they understand, yes, you need to have a job offer, but is there a specific type of job offer? Like, can it be permanent? Sorry, can it be part-time or contract, or does it have to be a permanent job offer?
It should be a permanent and it should be full time. So 30 hours a week is full time.
Mm-hmm.
And the salary would make a difference depending on where you are from graduation. Within 2 years, you can have the entry level wage. It has to meet the entry level wage. And if it's over the 2 years from your graduation, then it would need to be the 2 out of 5. Sorry, the median wage. Now, the graduation of the program it remains to be seen what that graduation would be. Right now, the current program is if you've graduated from a 2-year program or more, that's fine. If it's from a 1-year program, then it has to be a post-graduation certificate. Um, that probably will be the situation. I don't know for sure, but that probably will be the situation for the new stream as well. I just wanted to let you guys know, today I'm only telling you what is out there today. Once the programs comes out, we will provide a newsletter on and all of you guys who have signed up today, we're going to put you on our newsletter list and we're going to send you information about that as well. Okay?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you. I'm seeing a lot of questions around like different career paths, like PSW, food industry, early childhood education. So just a reminder, she's already mentioned that it's not really the type of career path, but the fact that you have a full-time permanent job offer, right, Elizabeth?
Yeah, to qualify to get into this stream, it's almost like any job. You have high skill, low skilled, any job. Now, whether or not you're going to be selected, because it's just not just to get into the pool, right? Like for example, I can say, okay, well, I'm going to be a waiter. I have a job as a waiter. Can I get in? Yes, you can get in. You can get into the lows. But is there a shortage of waiters in Ontario? If there isn't a shortage of waiters in Ontario, you're probably not going to be selected, right? So the Ontario, especially for the low wage, the low skilled jobs, the tiers 4 and 5, especially for those jobs, the government is going to be looking at occupations in demand, and also location matters as well. For example, there might be a shortage of waiters in North Bay. Who knows? Okay, so they might select waiters in North Bay, but not waiters in GTA. All right, so it just depends on uh, what the government sees from the industry numbers. And if there is a shortage of certain occupations and that information is known to the government, then they'll do a draw for that. That's the idea.
So Elizabeth, you mentioned like, rural areas. Do they post like which locations within Ontario that they're going to be, they don't. How do
They
people keep track of
Yeah,
this?
we can kind of get a sense, for example, from last year, right? So there were these ready area cities that they were like identifying. I think Sarnia was one of them, and there's a few other ones there. Then the Northern Ontario ones, the Northern Ontario cities are very much in their sphere. So those were invited, right? So there are certain areas that we know that they have been looking at. Whether or not other areas are going to be invited, I think a lot of it is whether the information gets to the government that there is a shortage of labor in whatever area and whatever occupation. And unfortunately, it's not very easy for people to know that, like what it is. I think I think a lot of it is maybe it's almost like a lottery ticket these days. You put your name in and see if they'll select you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we have to, in a lot of situations, we can't just put all our eggs in this particular basket. This might be a strategy, might be a plan A, B, or C, but we also need
Mm-hmm.
other plans as well. Because you can never rely on these kind of situations.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Elizabeth. If someone has like two jobs, so they're working in Canada, but they're also working for a company back home, can
Mhm.
they claim the points for both, like if the time overlaps?
Um, it depends on the program. So the Ontario government is not necessarily going to uh, be like express entry, where they give points for foreign work experience and Canadian work experience per se. We don't know what the points system, the final point system will be.
Mm-hmm.
So it depends. I'm part of a team that of the Ontario Bar Association where we provide our submissions to the government. We've provided some submissions on what, you know, we we think the points should be juggled as, and who knows if they'll listen to us or not. But I think there might be some um reweighing of the points compared to the international student stream. Then when you put all two together, uh, those points may change. But, you know, really right now, I think a lot of it, more than those points per se, would probably be the occupations and the location.
Okay. Can an applicant, thank you so much. Can an applicant apply in multiple streams like CEC and ONIP and PNP?
Well, OINP is a PNP. You can certainly apply for express entry and the provincial nominee programs, but I would not apply for two different provinces of provincial nominee programs. Okay, that's
Mhm.
because when you apply to a provincial nominee program, you are stating that your intention is to live in this province after you get permanent residence.
Mhm.
Now, you can't have intention to live in two provinces, right? That doesn't make any sense. So that would be an issue. Now, just because you declare that you're going to live in a province doesn't mean you have to be in that province for the rest of your life. Okay? Certainly your intentions are able to change and you can move to other provinces after you get your permanent residence. However, each province, they only have a certain number of spots and they don't want to waste their spots. Their spots are very precious. And so they do want to see that you want to live in that province, before you get permanent residence. And even after you get your nomination and you're applying for permanent residence with the federal government, you need to stay in that province until you get permanent residence.
Very important. Very, very important information. Thank you so much. I have a question here. To apply for OINP for the new program as an international student stream with a minimum of 6 months experience with a job offer, are there any hours required for that full time?
Yes, the hours need to be full time, which is 30 hours a week.
Okay, thank you for that clarification question. These questions are very good. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Um,
this is what I believe is going to be the case. I don't know have any indications it's not going to be, but I reserve I like to put a caveat that I don't know 100% of anything of these programs, okay? But I believe that probably will be the case. Yeah.
okay, thank you for that. And again, I do encourage you to set up a one-on-one meeting with Elizabeth because she's giving you sort of the broad-based information, but you really need to have a one-on-one consultation. Again, she talked already about the current employers, so I would recommend you connect with her directly for that. This recording will be sent out to everybody who is joined on this call for reference. So if you missed it, you can listen again. Um, I think you already answered this, that they need, if they applied for OINP while they were in Ontario, but then they moved to New Brunswick, if I get invited to apply, can I still apply while outside of Ontario?
So if you applied for Ontario, you moved to New Brunswick, you should probably withdraw your application. And even if you have
Mm,
a provincial nomination, you probably should withdraw your federal PR application as well. Um, if you lose your status in Canada, like you don't have a work permit anymore, and you need to leave Canada, that's another matter. And if you're outside of Canada, but the government said, why are you out? Well, I I don't have status. I will come back to the province. If it's an employer-based program, then it's important for the employer to certify that they will continue to employ you. Uh, when you come back to the province after you get your permanent residence. But if you just move to another province, you still have your status, just have another job, then you should withdraw your application with the Ontario government
mhm.
before applying to another provincial nomination.
Okay, thank you. How about the government themselves? Are the governments like federal, provincial, municipal eligible and part of OINP? Like if you're working with the government, if you have a government job.
Oh, I see.
I think
Okay.
that's what they're
Yes.
asking.
Yes, you could. Yeah. Yes, you could. And it's just a matter of whether or not the employer themselves would participate in the program. But also, sometimes even nonprofit organizations, even though they're supposed to have an income does not necessarily mean profit. So if they get funding, they get government funding, for example, that could qualify for the employer-based programs.
Hmm. Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Um, I'm just going to summarize this question in case it permits or applies to other people. But if someone's working in a role that is part-time, but also they don't see the knock code for that position, what do you recommend that they do?
Well, part-time probably wouldn't qualify for the employer-based program, so that would be an issue if it's not 30 hours a week. Sometimes employers call part-time, but they're actually 30 hours more than 30 hours a week. That it's about the hours, not necessarily what the employer calls it. But also sometimes employers call part-time because they don't want to offer a permanent position so that it's not indefinite employment. Or sometimes they call part-time where they don't guarantee the hours. So all of those things could be an issue to qualify for the employer-based programs because the employer-based programs, the employer has to at least offer you a position that at least offers 30 hours a week guaranteed. Um, Otherwise, it wouldn't qualify for that full time. Yeah.
Hmm. That's a good clarification. So full-time equals 30 hours.
Or
Uh,
more. Yeah.
or more. Okay. How about this? If someone has gotten the support of an employer, how long do they have to stay with that employer? And then part two is, could they change their field in the future if they got PR?
Yeah. So you have to stay with your employer until you receive your permanent residence. Now, this is going to be much, much longer than express entry, right? Express entry, really, you don't need to stay with any employer. It's all past employment that counts right now. There's no arranged employment these days. But with the OINP and other provincial employer-based, okay, there are certain programs that are not employer-based, fine. The employer-based ones, you have to stay with your employer until you get permanent residence. You have to stay in the same position. You can't change your position. Even the salary, if they raise your salary, normally we inform the Ontario government as well that the salary raise, but they shouldn't be decreasing your salary. They shouldn't be decreasing your hours of work from what you had they had declared before on the form. And that's an agreement that the employers sign with the government when they sign the form as well.
Okay, thank you. Someone is saying that they have a permanent position, not code all twos, 22222. During the previous 6 years, they held the same position before in Canada. Do they have to provide some proof of that for OINP?
Uh, yes, if they need to qualify for the programs and the requirement is that they have work experience in a certain occupation, then yes, you do need to provide proof. Anything that you're declaring where it's one of the reasons for qualifying, one of the factors for qualifying, or one of the factors where you are claiming points. Anything that you're saying, you have to prove and you have to provide proper evidence for that.
Okay. I'm just trying to go through. Thank you, Elizabeth, so much. Just trying to go through for the OINP questions before I go to the other ones. I've studied and done my co-op from Ontario. Does that give me some extra credit for OINP, or does it not matter at all which province you get at the job in?
So OIMP is only Ontario. And it's only for jobs in Ontario. And if you studied in Ontario, then you could qualify for in the new program where the salary, if your salary doesn't meet median wage, but it's over the entry level wage, if you apply within 2 years of your graduation, then you can have that exception to the rule.
Okay. I'm just typing. Someone has a lot of sort of personal questions, so I do encourage you to follow up directly with Elizabeth. But maybe I can ask this one. How much time does this whole process take?
Oh, good question. I did I even say that? I think I started saying it and then I got thinking about something else and veered off to another topic. Yeah, so the whole program, first of all, you have to be invited to apply, right? So invited to apply, who knows when you're going to be invited to apply? Now, once you're invited to apply, you have a very short time to submit your application. I think it's 17 days or so, and the employer has 14 days. So around 2.5 weeks or so. 2, 3, yeah. Then you have, then the province makes a decision. Now, last year, the province was taking a very long time making decisions for a lot of cases. This year, though, the province has said that they're going to speed it up and probably be 1 to 3 months to process most applications. No guarantee. Sometimes, if the employer is going to be under investigation, etc., that's going to stretch a lot longer, etc. Okay, so let's just say you're really fast. You got 3 months for the province. Then, after that, you get your nomination. After you have your nomination, you apply for permanent residence with the federal government. And the current processing time is approximately 1.5 to 2 years with the federal government. Okay.
Wow.
So now, if your work permit is going to expire after you get your provincial nomination, you can apply for an employer-specific work permit if it's under the employer-based streams as well. I recently had a case where the person didn't really know how to apply for the employer-specific work permit and was denied. So for the employer-specific work permits, the employer has to file an offer of employment, not the employment offer, an offer of employment, which is completely different from the employment offer. Employment offer is like a job offer, right? It's like an employment contract. The offer of employment is something where the employer has to go to the employer portal from the government and put in the details of the employment and submit
Okay.
the application, pay a $230 fee, and then give that to you. Okay. So again, this is one of the things that we do, and it's very important to submit your work permit applications properly because if you don't, even if you want to, you can apply for restoration of status after it's denied within 90 days, but you'll be out of work for a long time because right now Like when you're under restoration, you can't start working until the work permit is issued. And right now, it takes around maybe 7 months, 8 months for the work permits to be decided.
Wow. Still extended periods of time. So making sure that you schedule, an appointment, I would say with Elizabeth is really important to make sure you don't miss any of these steps. Someone's asking a question. I'm not really sure. Maybe you might be able to interpret it. If we get the ITA through OINP, do we get 600 points or so? If yes, can I add these points to CEC?
Not the employer-based streams. They have to be specifically express entry streams. So right now, those express entry streams, the government is going to cancel. There might be one with the healthcare. We're not sure if that's going to be an express entry based stream, but the other ones are not. And so the you will not get 600 points. You have to go through the regular process that takes around 2 years for the government to process. Okay, but you don't have to be invited to apply through Express Entry anymore.
Okay, and that includes the French Express entry, right? It's closed
That,
down as well.
yeah, that's likely going to be closed as well. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
There was a
So we
question on the
have
chat.
4 minutes left. So
Wow. Oh my gosh, there's so many questions. So I see lots of questions here, 4 minutes left. So again, thank you so much for your questions. I do encourage you to take Elizabeth's information. Please, please, please reach out to her. Let her know that you were here. We will have future sessions. Elizabeth is here on a regular basis. So if you've got further questions, you should definitely reach out to her. Can we go to the next screen as well, Elizabeth? So wanted to let you guys know what's coming up. So we've got mastering interviews, strategies to stand out. It's Wednesday next week from 7 o'clock again. The registration will be available soon. So again, please make sure you're marking your calendars and taking a look at the events page. Next slide, please. Also, for those of you, I see some of you are new grads. So if you're not sure what comes after graduation, please know that you can join the Alumni Advantage program. It's a big milestone finishing school, and we know it's a new challenge for you. So if you are looking for support, if you've just graduated, you've been searching for a while, we have support for you through Devant. So please scan to register and learn more information about the Alumni Advantage program. Next slide, please. And finally, again, a big thank you to CIBC. I have a special offer as well to share with you, everyone who's here. If you are opening up a bank account and you use the promo code Devant, DEVANT, you will be able to qualify for some more banking perks. If you're an international student and newcomers, please scan that QR code to see all of the special promos and perks that CIBC is offering. If you are a student as well, there are more perks for students as well. So we have partnered with CIBC. Devant has partnered with CIBC to bring some special rewards for all of you and for the community at Devant. So highly encourage you to take a look at that. You will also be able to get some more information on this. So thank you so much to CIBC. And also please look out for upcoming career events related to financial services and careers in banking. So again, we wouldn't be able to do all of this work without our partners and sponsors like CIBC. So please join me at this moment. I'd love to sort of say thank you to you, Elizabeth, and ask everyone if you could please just take a moment to share some of your feedback with us. Let us know what your feedback is. We would really love to have you share your thoughts. If you could let us know and just provide some feedback. Also, let us know what are some of your questions in terms of future topics that you'd like to hear from. Elizabeth, thank you so much again. I know you had a full day today. You went through a lot of questions, gave us some really good information. I know things are changing all the time. So, again, thank you so much for making this time available, but also for giving discounts to the Devant community to meet with you. I do have a few referrals, as I mentioned, that I'm going to forward to you on my own as well. But again, so great to see you, and we'll look forward to a future session with you very soon, Elizabeth.
For sure, Sisha. It's going to be an interesting year, I think. There's some programs, there's a lot of program cuts, there's a lot of competition, but who knows? It's going to be a ride, but hopefully a lot of you might qualify and get your permanent residence. Here's hoping for this year.
Thank you so much again. Bye. Have a good night,
Take care,
everyone. Good
everyone.
luck.